I walked into the cafe that evening with a strange mix of excitement and nerves twisting inside my stomach. The rain was tapping gently against the window panes, casting streaks of water that blurred the world outside. I had been texting him for weeks, someone who seemed to understand me in ways friends never had, and now, finally, we were meeting in person. My heart pounded as I scanned the warm interior for his face. There he was, sitting alone at a small round table near the window, his dark jacket pulled tight around him like a shield. His eyes flicked up briefly when I approached, a hesitant smile ghosting across his lips. I tried to match it, though inside I was a storm of hope and doubt colliding. Was this the start of something real, or just another fleeting moment destined to unravel? I slid into the seat across from him, the chair scraping softly against the wooden floor. The cafe's soft lighting cast warm halos around us, but the air between us felt cool, heavy with the weight of unspoken words. We ordered coffee, and as the barista walked away, I felt the first real pulse of silence settle in. It didn't take long for the cracks to appear. He started talking about his past, but there was a bitterness there, a shadow I hadn't seen in his texts. His voice lowered, eyes darting away as he spoke of people who had wronged him, friendships that had turned toxic. At first, I listened with sympathy, wanting to understand, wanting to be the person who could help him heal. But then the stories shifted. He began blaming others for every problem, no hint of personal responsibility. His tone grew sharper, more defensive, and I felt a chill creeping into my chest. The hopeful warmth I'd carried in faded into uncertainty. I tried to steer the conversation away from the bitterness, but he wasn't letting go. I realized with a sinking feeling that this meeting wasn't going to be the fresh start I'd imagined. Instead, it was becoming a battlefield where my empathy was met with cynicism and subtle digs. He questioned my intentions, my choices, even the way I ordered my coffee. Each comment felt like a jab, thinly veiled as teasing, but it stung all the same. As the rain picked up outside, so did the tension inside. I tried to stay calm, to keep the peace, but his words were like arrows, precise and painful. I found myself shrinking, retreating into a smaller, quieter version of myself. The man I'd met online, who seemed so kind and thoughtful, was nowhere to be found in this dimly lit cafe. At one point, he slammed his palm on the table, making the coffee cups jump. "You don't get it," he snapped, eyes blazing with frustration. "No one ever does." My heart skipped a beat. This wasn't just anger, it was a warning, something darker lurking beneath the surface, something I hadn't been prepared for. I wanted to leave, to walk out into the rain and clear the fog clouding my mind, but I was frozen. Part of me hoped this was just a rough patch, that beneath the anger was a person worth reaching. But another part screamed that I was in the middle of a storm I couldn't control, a toxic spiral pulling me under. The conversation spiraled from bad to worse. Every attempt I made to connect was met with suspicion or dismissal. He accused me of being fake, of not caring enough, and when I tried to explain how I felt, he turned it back on me, twisting my words until I doubted my own reality. It was exhausting, draining, and painfully familiar. I kept glancing out the window, watching the rain blur the city lights, wishing for an escape. But the door was right there, and I felt like I couldn't move. Part of me was trapped by the hope that maybe, just maybe, he'd soften, show me the man I thought he could be. But the harder I looked, the more the mask slipped, revealing bitterness and pain wrapped in anger. Around us, the cafe continued its quiet hum, strangers chatting and sipping their drinks, oblivious to the emotional storm raging at our table. I envied their normalcy, the simplicity of their interactions. Here I was, caught in a toxic dance that left me dizzy and unsure who I was anymore. Finally, I gathered the courage to speak up, to say I needed to leave. His face twisted, a mixture of hurt and anger that made my stomach churn. "You're just like everyone else," he spat, voice low and venomous, "running away when things get real." His words felt like a wound, raw and unexpected. I stood abruptly, knocking over my chair. The sound echoed too loudly in the quiet room. Without another word, I moved toward the door, the cold air outside hitting me like a shock. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, but inside I felt soaked to the bone with regret and relief all at once. Once outside, I didn't look back. The night air was sharp, filling my lungs as I walked down the street, away from the toxic energy that had nearly swallowed me whole. My heart still raced, and tears pricked at the corners of my eyes, but I knew one thing: that meeting had gone wrong in every way possible. I replayed the evening over and over in my mind, searching for where it had all fallen apart. Was I too naive? Did I ignore the warning signs? Or was it just impossible to fix what was broken inside him? The questions haunted me, swirling in the dark like the rain that night. Since then, I've been learning to trust my instincts more, to recognize when a connection isn't healthy, no matter how much I want it to be. It's hard, admitting that someone you hoped for can hurt you so deeply, but that night taught me the cost of ignoring those red flags. I still wonder about him sometimes, not with longing, but with a quiet sadness for the person trapped in his own pain and anger. And for me, the girl who walked into a cafe looking for hope and walked out carrying a lesson she never expected to learn that night. That night was a turning point. It wasn't the end, but the beginning of a reckoning with toxic relationships, with boundaries, and with the hard truth that not every meeting leads to happiness. Some lead to survival. And as I keep moving forward, I hold on to one thing: the strength to walk away, even when it hurts, even when it's the hardest thing to do. Because sometimes the most powerful choice is simply to say goodbye. But the story doesn't end here. There are more meetings, more moments, more chances to find what really matters. And maybe, just maybe, the next meeting won't go wrong. For now, I'm just learning to listen to myself, to the quiet voice that tells me when something feels off. It's a voice I'm finally beginning to trust. And that voice saved me that rainy night, even if I didn't realize it until much later. It's strange how one night, one meeting, can change everything without a single dramatic scene. No shouting matches or breaking glass, just a slow unraveling, a subtle poison seeping through every word and glance. That's the thing about toxic relationships. They don't always announce themselves with a bang. They creep in quietly, disguising their claws as vulnerability, their poison as pain. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're already caught in the web. That's what I felt that night, caught, trapped between hope and despair, wanting to believe in the good but drowning in the bad. It's a place I never want to return to, but a place I can't fully forget. Sometimes I think about how different things could have been if I'd seen the signs earlier. If I hadn't ignored the subtle digs, the dismissive looks, the cold silences that followed the warmth. If I'd trusted my instincts instead of my heart. But hindsight is a cruel teacher. It shows you everything you missed, but it can't change the past. All it offers is understanding, and sometimes that's the best we can hope for. So I keep moving forward, step by step, learning to recognize the difference between love and toxicity, between kindness and manipulation, between connection and control. And I share this story because maybe someone else out there needs to hear it. Maybe someone else is sitting in a cafe, heart pounding, hoping for something better, but feeling the chill of doubt creeping in. If that's you, know this: you're not alone, and it's okay to walk away. Because sometimes the healthiest love you can give is the love you give yourself, even if it means leaving behind what you thought was a chance at happiness. That night taught me more about myself than any happy ending ever could. It showed me my limits, my boundaries, and my strength. It showed me that I deserve better even when it feels impossible. And maybe that's the hardest lesson of all: believing you deserve better when everything inside you screams that you don't. But I'm learning, slowly, messily, and sometimes painfully, but I'm learning. And that's a start. Sometimes the hardest part is just beginning to believe in yourself again. And for me, that belief started on a rainy night, in a cafe, with a meeting that went wrong. But the story, it's far from over. I'm still here, still searching, still hoping. And maybe that's enough for now. Because sometimes, surviving the toxic moments is the first step toward finding the good ones. And I believe they're out there. Waiting for me, waiting for you. And when they come, we'll know. Because we'll have learned how to recognize the difference. And that knowledge, it's our shield and our guide. So for now, I hold on to that, the knowledge, the hope, the strength. And I keep walking forward, one step at a time. Because that's all any of us can do. One step, one breath, one moment at a time. And maybe, someday soon, the next meeting will be the one that goes right. Until then, I carry the lessons with me. And I share the story so it doesn't happen in silence. Because sometimes, telling the story is the first step to healing. And I'm ready to heal. Even if it's messy, even if it's slow. Because healing is worth it. And so is hope. And so is love, the real kind, the kind that lifts you up instead of tearing you down. So here's to moving forward. To surviving the toxic moments. To believing in better. And to never settling for less than we deserve. Because that's the story I'm living now. And it's just beginning. One step, one breath, one moment at a time. And maybe, just maybe, the next meeting will be the one that changes everything.